We haven't talked about Resident Evil 5, which I think is based on I had a chance to play it. We world premiered the trailer exclusively on Spike TV and Game.
Am I gonna like it, Jack?
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Am I gonna like it?
You're gonna. And Guy, I mean, it's like you saw the zombies. They're not all black zombies, right?
That's what I saw. Yeah.
That's what you saw. Do you feel that you are you going to get a credit here for design or consulting designer?
The creator of the game claims that people who pointed out certain things about previous incarnations of the trailer had no impact on his creative.
Do you believe him?
Brian, should I believe him?
I wasn't there for the interview, but I think there was a change. There was a change. At least
you
in
said
the way
the
it was
Japanese
presented.
trailer and the American trailer are different.
Yeah, that was something I've been reading about, is that the Japanese trailers and the American trailers are different. I mean, I do think at the very least, because one of the complaints I had was about how the African zombies were portrayed even before they were clearly attacking the hero, that they were sort of shrouded in shadow and moving very slowly in slow motion, so they were kind of zombies before they were zombies. In this one, they show the mouths and the crazy tentacles coming out and all this stuff, so it's made very clear that these are zombies with a capital Z.
Right.
And you would kill those zombies, right?
I have to see what I do when the control's actually in my hand.
But it's good. I think it's going to be a big game at E3, and I think Capcom, between Street Fighter and Resident Evil 5, I think a really strong third-party show.
Bionic Commando, and they have unannounced stuff as well, and I hear they have a major downloadable game coming out.
Right.
Sort of bigger scale and from Japan that we haven't seen yet. So.
Well, Dark Void, the worst thing I can say about that game is the title. I thought that game was pretty fun. It's like a vertical shooter, taking
vertical cover. I mean, it's got a ways to go and it's a year away, but that's a game that I think Capcom seems to be, making a lot of smart decisions, and I think Resident Evil 5, obviously, I think it's going to be, playable on, 360 and PS3 at the show. We'll get the, chance to go hands-on with it. So that easily, I think, could be a potential game of the show contender.
Where Sega's looking really weak. I mean, apart from Mad World, I mean, I thought their showing when we were out, a little while ago.
But they have some games. I mean, they have the Aliens game, which we haven't seen from the guys at Gearbox, which we haven't seen yet. So they have that, and
Golden Axe.
Where's the rest of your list?
Exactly. I mean, Golden Axe was not looking impressive. The Olympics game wasn't looking interesting. I mean,
Sonic. Yeah, what was that?
Yeah. I was surprised that they're showing
Platinum Games has to sort of save them there, right?
They got to carry it.
Now, what about EA? Because we talk a lot about EA and many of their games. They're probably not going to have Take-Two in the fold by E3, so they're going to be left with games like you mentioned, Dead Space, which I think is something that actually looks pretty impressive. Good technology, interesting idea coming out this Halloween. But beyond that, I mean, what does EA really have? I mean, Mirror's Edge seems to be getting a lot of attention, especially on game trailers with that last trailer. I'm still a little skeptical about how much combat's going to be in there. Can you really handle this sort of first-person platforming in a way that is compelling to play? Does EA have a big-ticket game for the holidays?
I think Dead Space could become that game because it's got a lot of BioShock vibe to it. I mean, if it has too much BioShock vibe to it, then people will see it as a Me Too game.
Yeah.
But the game just shows so well. I mean, I saw it first, in May, and I was really impressed with the look of it, the play of it. They have a lot of really nice things going on with the interface. Even how the menus appear is impressive, and when you're impressed with those elements, I mean, it just speaks to the level of detail that they have in there and the attention to detail. I think that game could break through. I mean, it could be one of the major new intellectual properties for the
I'm curious about what they're going to do, what's going to happen with Battlefield Heroes.
Yeah.
Simply because they're bringing the item-based microtransaction model from Asia to the United States. I think that's a big deal for them. It's a, third-person, cartoony look.
Right.
And so I'm just curious to see what the response is in this market to it, because if that takes off, I could see them taking other franchises of theirs in that direction.
And also, I think one game from EA that we haven't talked about is Left 4 Dead from the guys at Valve, which I think could be something that could be quite big actually this holiday season, which is really compelling game where you can play. It has a lot with what it's doing online, and certainly the single player experience, and they're bringing that out for 360 and PC, and I think that could be the EAP part of Electronic Arts, where they're partnered with groups like Valve. I think that seems to be a real strong suit for EA, and certainly Rock Band falls into that as well.
Absolutely, and there's rumors of a lot more big names that might be signing up with those guys. So
maybe hearing more about that at E3. Exactly.
When do you sign up with them, Jeff?
Bonus round exclusively from EAP. Brian, you mentioned Far Cry 2 from Ubisoft. Earlier in the show, Steven mentioned Splinter Cell Conviction, which we are still waiting to hear about. UB, I actually thought I was a little underwhelmed by what they had showed me on the pre-E3 tour about the games. I mean, sure, they've got Shaun White snowboarding, looks good. I mean, Far Cry I think looks interesting. Prince of Persia we haven't really seen yet, so we'll have to see how that shows at E3. We'll be premiering the trailer exclusively on Spike tomorrow night. A little plug for you guys. But also, is there anything? UB, I mean, last year Assassin's Creed. I mean, they had some big stuff. I mean, are you expecting something big from UB at E3?
I have to say, first off, I failed to mention End War, and Guy makes a good point that playing that game, to me, the most amazing thing isn't the fact that they seem to have gotten the interface right. It's the fact that they've figured out a way to slow the pace of the game, and I think allow more casual gamers get into strategy gaming.
Yep.
And that's going to be a huge deal.
End War's the new hotness, right?
It is. I love playing it. I only played it for maybe 15 minutes, but it was a lot of fun. Despite what Totilo says, I think it's easier to use voice command.
Buttons better than voice when I tried it out.
I like hearing my own velvety voice. That's what it is.
Now, finally, let's talk about Activision. We mentioned Guitar Hero, which is one of their big franchises. They also have another Call of Duty, World at War, which is coming this holiday season, going back to World War II, Pacific Theater, not modern day.
And away from Infinity Ward, right?
Away from Infinity Ward, being done by Treyarch, the same team that's doing the new Bond game, which is also on the Call of Duty 4 engine. First visuals of it look pretty good. I mean, it looks like a great engine. It's on that Call of Duty engine. But Call of Duty 4, one of the top-selling game last year, over 10 million units sold. Is there potential for World at War to be the big hit of E3, even though they're not at E3?
It's like a oxymoron maybe. It has potential, but I mean, I have a tough time seeing Call of Duty 4 being matched. I mean, it isn't the same development studio, and I'm not sure that Treyarch can pull it out really. But I mean, Activision is certainly a publisher to be watching, and I think that it'll be really interesting, like I was saying before, to see how they come at Rock Band with Guitar Hero World Tour and really try to amp up the features. We'll see. There's a lot of question marks about a lot of the Activision and Vivendi games because there's a lot of games that we'd heard about.
Merger, I mean, what's happening with Brutal Legend? What's happening with the Leisure Suit Larry? Box office bust.
Oh,
And maybe some of that, the shoe might drop for E3, or they will for that, because if we don't see those games at E3, I mean, that's definitely will be a sign.
And should we pour out some liquor for Prototype? I mean,
we'll have to see what happens, right? No one really knows. And that's the thing is, once that, and I think that merger is sort of happening right now. And maybe we'll have some news this week at E3 about what's happening with some of those games. But what's the publisher to beat right now for you guys? I mean, is it Capcom? I mean, who's at the top of their game? The company, when you see that media on the site this week, those are the trailers you're going to want to watch. What do you guys think?
Well, I think of the stuff that we've seen so far, I would say Sony's had the best showing.
Right.
I know you're not surprised I said that, but I really believe it.
But third parties we're talking about.
Take
the fanboy out of you. Certainly Fallout 3, I think, is something that people are really excited about. That's Bethesda, just one game.
Right.
But it's a real masterful game about what they're doing with it.
See, I don't think there's any one. Not to steal your
answer.
There's
no real standout?
I don't think there's one standout publisher-wise. I think there are a lot of games that individually that are going to do really well and have a lot of buzz. But I don't know if one publisher, unlike previous years, that there's one publisher
has that murderer's row of 6 great games.
And there's always whatever Blizzard's up to, right?
You never know. Will there be Diablo 3?
They
won't be at E3, so we won't see anything from them at E3. But coming at Worldwide Invitational, which has happened already in Paris. So it's a great show.
Get your timeline straight there.
Exactly. So we'll cut that out of the show. Don't worry. All right, guys. Well, it's going to be a great E3. We will see all of you guys there. Lots of great news and lots of great coverage across GameTrailers.com and on Spike TV. Every night this week, we have blowout E3 coverage. Huge exclusives, including Prince of Persia, Resistance 2, and much, much more. So tune in on air and also online. And we'll see you next time for the next edition of the Bonus Round.
BonusRound.